Okay, welcome to Monday morning, October the 6th session for the 10 a.m. in the morning Central Standard Time. Hope you guys had a wonderful weekend, was able to get some rest, was able to get a little work done. I saw that you guys did go out and completed the assignment that I asked you to do. So that's definitely on the right track. Appreciate everything there. So let's take a look at what we will engage in today or for this week. So a quick review, always a quick review, make sure that we're on point. So last week, last Thursday, that was our last session. Um, we talked about the lecture or you were supposed to do the lecture and there was a business and technical solution skill guide that that lecture made reference to. So that was a very long lecture. It was probably 3.5 hours. It was a comprehensive, broad understanding of Pega. It showed you how to get into the environment, the exercise environment, or just the Pega environment in general. Showed you how to navigate, created some application, probably just one application. And so wanted you to know though it was tied to that business and technical solution guide. You should find that in the OneDrive under study guides. We will be making reference to that. So this is the business and technical solution study guide. Not right now, but later on we will use that as I do more presentations. In the business and technical solution guide that you'll find, it has the business design solutions. That's the first 6 weeks that we will work through. Then we have the technical development solution. That's more of the SAE. If I expand those, you'll see the first topic is project interview concepts. That's the majority of the discussion from that 3.5 hour session or lecture that I did. I covered many broad topics, but I focused on when you get ready to do a Pega project, what do you do first? It's this whole interview process. And matter of fact, this afternoon I'll come back and I'll lecture on this. And it's a lecture to summarize to make sure that you've captured the essence of what was in the video that we were going through. So just want you to make note that you have content all over the place, but it's very directed. This is directed for skill. This is definitely directed for skill to make you understand that there's an interview process that has to happen. You being the technical person or working with a business unit will have to talk to the business and you'll have to gather requirements, specifications, flow charts, and things of that nature so that you're able to take that information, go through that DCO process, use Pega Express delivery. Those words should mean something to you now and be able to implement a solution in Pega. In the last session, you should also find the recording for October the 2nd, the 6 p.m. session. As I mentioned before, and I'll mention every day, these are great resources for you. So after I got through lecturing for that particular session, then we run it through our powerful and great AI tools. It captures that lecture material, it summarizes it for us, puts it in Spanish and English, creates a document for you so you can go through and read that document, and you can go and listen to the podcast. So let me ask you a question. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Have you listened to the podcast and do you enjoy the podcast and how they are delivered with the two people? Give me some feedback here. What do you think about the podcast? Okay, I got a thumbs up. Only had one thumbs up too. Oh, okay. I see. Now the thumbs up are coming. Now, that's the power of some of these AI tools. Guys, I want to encourage you. If you are not using some of these AI tools, then you need to start doing that. Most people use Chat GPT, but if you are looking at coding, then you want to do Claude, Claude. Claude is the number one AI tool for coding. That's a really good one. If you want another chat box that helps you with video and imaging, then you want to go to Gemini. Gemini just rolled out a wonderful engine, something Nano Banana. It's an excellent video image. So when I'm trying to create images, I can give it a proper prompt and it can do that for me. So that's my livelihood. I look at Gemini, I look at Claude, I use some Chat GPT, not that much. But when I'm doing all of these elements, these learning elements, it's something called Notebook LM. That's by Google also, Notebook LM. And it allows me to capture sessions from YouTube, capture sessions from URL sources, bring them together, create this podcast that you guys are listening to, create the documents. I'm only doing 2 of the 8 documents that you can create along the way. And so it gives you that mind map. I love the mind map. The mind map is excellent. So it gives you the path of breaking down what you're trying to learn into very granular pieces. So make sure that you look at the mind map. I exploded all of it for you. It's pretty big, but you can follow a path and you can find the information that you need. You also have the entire session. That entire session is done for you. We put it out on YouTube, on the YouTube channel for your university. So you should go out and find that. And you should have received the WebEx recording, a link to that WebEx recording. We make sure that you have all that again so that you can help prepare for your certification and for knowledge. For the first time, you were supposed to complete your essays. Remember, your essays is my way of evaluating if you're grasping the information. And so essays are open-ended. They're not true, false. We'll get to that when we get to the testing, but I need you to write everything that you know. I know that you can go out to the document, you can cut and paste a lot of that information in there, but I want you to customize it also. That's important to me. Not only do I want you to be able to find and research the information, but I need to hear a paragraph or two, some sentences that you are summarizing this information. You are giving me examples of how this particular component in Pega works. So you guys did a good job. You went out there and copied the document, answered these 5 questions. And when I went out there, I saw that there was about 19 out of the 23, I believe, out of the 21 that's in the class. So make sure that if you hadn't done that, get that done today. We have 2 more essays this week. So I don't want you to get behind. If you get behind, then it's really hard for you to catch up because there's a lot of information. We're starting off slow, but as you'll see, you'll have more activities as we start going through week 3, 4, 5, and 6. So weeks 1 and 2, I tried not to put too much on you. I want you to get used to the environment. But you can see that if you go out to that folder, if you see just your first name, last name, that means that I have not evaluated it yet. I have not graded it. Now, I do have a handy dandy AI tool that I use to grade, and it's a very good tool. It's on point. It understands the information. It creates from the questions and everything that we've talked about. It creates a answer source. And from that answer source, it goes and it evaluates your questions and your answers or your answers associated with the questions. And so it's looking for core information. It's looking for core information. And that core information is important because that's the information that will be, number 1, on the certification, and number two, for you to build your skill. So make sure that you write as much as you can about a particular topic. The more you write, the better it is. It evaluates it and it tells you if you're on point or if you're not. Now, if you see that it's already been evaluated, you can go and open up your document, and the evaluation is at the bottom of your document. The evaluation is at the bottom of your document. And it gives you a total number. Each question is worth 20 points. And based upon the core information, all or some of the core information, then it will determine what your score is. So I want to say, Jose, I want to give you a thumbs up. I looked at yours, ran it through our AI tool. You did an excellent job. And I hope you don't mind me showing your paper, but you did an excellent job. And this is the level of thoroughness that's needed for you to grasp this technology. Remember, our goal is for you to pass two certifications, two professional certifications the first time. And in order to do that, we need this level of detail to make sure that you are grasping the information. And it will tell you in the evaluation what your score is. It breaks down what you've identified here and how well you've identified it. So here, Jose, you got 20 out of 20, man. That's excellent. You got 18 out of 20, 19 out of 20. That's demonstrating that you've listened to the information, you found and you researched, you found, you had some of your own examples in it. It looks at that. You use the examples that were in the book. And so that's absolutely excellent. And then it gives you some information here at the bottom. Now, this is just a portion of it. It's not all of it. It will also give you information about if even here you made a 96, how do you get the other 4 points? So it would give you a study plan or an action plan. Go back if you really want these next 4 points, then do X, Y, and Z. I would encourage you to do that. I would encourage everyone to complete this because it's for your benefit. It's for your benefit. So if you look at your document, it says it's already been evaluated or graded. Go down to the bottom. If it's in purple, that means that you're on track. Okay? If it's in purple, I always use purple, my favorite color. So that means that you're on track. Now, let me go back one. Okay, here we go. All right, now, here's an example of a submission that they didn't do well. And so it's in red. If you see that your submission evaluation is in red, that means that you need to go back and update it. Update it. Let me know that you resubmitted it, and we'll go back and grade it again. It's important that you update your document if it's not sufficient. Read through what some of the issues are. In this particular example, the answers were very brief, they were very short, and that's not what we're looking for. That's not our expectation. If they're short and brief, then it's probably you're not capturing the core essence of the material. Needs to be longer, needs to be more detailed. I need you to tell me everything that you know about that topic. That's what's important. Everything that you know about that particular topic. All right, so if you have any questions about the essays, shoot me an email and we can discuss it. But I want to make sure that you know that that's the essence of your learning. You're going to use the essays to make sure that you understand the material that we're going over. You're going to use a podcast to listen to that conversation. You're going to go through the document and read that summary document to understand that you know what the key points are. You're going to attend our live sessions that will have conversations about it back and forth. You'll have pre-tests that we will evaluate you based upon your knowledge and what you know. You'll have exercises that you'll do to make sure that we sharpen your skill. You have a project you do that you work in a team to make sure you understand the dynamics. So when you leave this class, you'll be fully prepared. For today's session, we want to spend time, most of the time in the mornings, we spend time talking about project. We hadn't really got into the heavy part of the project. It's really exercise system, community edition, Pega Academy. So for today, I'm going to spend time talking about Pega Academy. I won't go through a lot of the details, but I'll make sure that you're comfortable with the environment. We probably won't utilize the whole 2 hours, and just know that until we really get into the project. The morning sessions on Mondays and Thursdays, I'll check in with you, make sure that you guys are on track, make sure that you guys are ready to complete all the material for the end of the day. But today I do want to cover the Pega Academy environment. You'll have exercises as you see. Let's just kind of go through this. So what should you complete for today? So this is for today. You should go through and listen to the audio from the day one lecture that we did on Friday. So that's typically the format. I'll give you a lecture to listen to, and then you'll have the summary the next day that summarizes it for you so that you can gain that understanding. That summary document there is for you, but there's also an essay that you have to do. So it's easy for you to see if you see 2 green exercises, then you know you got 2 essays that you have to do. Anytime you see the green, then there is a essay associated with it inside of that Word doc file. So make sure that you're aware of that. So you have 2 to do for today, and you have more to do throughout the week. That's why I said don't get behind. It picks up. What's required of you picks up, and the information that you need to learn. So you'll listen to that summary document. That's probably a good 15 minutes for you listening to that. But then you have the document you need to read through, essays that you need to do that probably would take you an hour, if not 2. Then you'll come back and you'll start getting your first venture into Pega Academy. Pega Academy is the online learning environment for you. And so you'll go through and be able to learn about Pega Academy. Anytime you see something in black, that indicates that there's a challenge for you to do, that there's a challenge for you to do. And so you want to go through those challenges. So then you have another summary that has to do with the blueprint. We've already worked on blueprint a bit, so you should be comfortable with that. And then for business architect, here we have Pega Express. So that's more information about those modules. So that's our sessions that we're going to cover today. I see that Ufuk is here. Ufuk, how are you doing? It's good to see you.
I'm fine, thank you.
All right,
Sorry
wonderful,
for the delay.
wonderful. No, I definitely understand. So what I'm getting ready to do is I'm going to spend about 15 to 20 minutes just showing them how to get in the Pega Academy, how to use that exercise environment. And then if you would, I want to turn it over to you. And we had briefly talked about maybe getting into Community Edition, start talking about building something from scratch. Just give them a great perspective from an LSA, someone who works in it every day. And so they can get some general understanding of what we expect from them as we start helping them work on the project within the next 2 to 4 weeks. Okay? All right, wonderful. So let's go ahead and move into the exercise environment. And I'll put that here. If you saw in the, yeah, I can bring up schedule here. Hold on. You saw the schedule that I'm going to do a demonstration of how to get into the exercise environment. What you have to do is copy this URL and once you right to this spot. If you're not logged on, then you'll have to log in. But I've made it easy for you. Instead of you trying to go into Pega Academy and find the modules and find the topics, I've already done all that for you. As I said, this is directed learning. I make sure that it's very easy for you to get to the material. We direct you to it so that you can go right to it and then understand it. So this is one of the examples you will do. So I'm not going to do the whole example, but I want to explain the environment for you. This is Pega Academy. Pega Academy is their online material. It comes with modules. That's the information you have to meet, you have to read, and they have something called challenges. These challenges are in orange. So typically the way it works, you'll go through a couple of modules and you'll see that in the schedule that I have laid out. You'll go through 1 to 2 modules. And when you finish a module, then it's going to have you do a challenge. And a challenge is no more than an exercise based upon that information that you just read or that you just covered. So in this particular case, you guys make sure that you realize that you can change this to Spanish, but make sure you're using 24.2. That's the environment that we're in. It's 24.2. So do it in English, do it in Spanish, doesn't matter. Know that you can take the exam in Spanish. So if you want to do everything in Spanish, that's absolutely fine. That way you can see that some of the technical words won't translate. So that's probably a better way, now that I'm thinking about it, that's probably a better way for you to proceed with your learning. Do everything in Spanish because the Spanish translations here will indicate which one of those words are Pega terms that will not be translated. So you get familiar with that. So when you sit for the certification, that you'll be able to understand that better. In the exercise environment, they'll give you a title. So this is designing a case life cycle for BAs. Over to the left, they give you a brief. So it's a wonderful environment, but it teaches more concepts and it teaches more to the certification. It doesn't go as deep into skills, and that's why we have the project. That's why we have UFUC that's part of the team, the educational team, to really give you that depth of understanding of what it means to really develop applications in Pega. But this is step 1. So we have to crawl before we walk. So crawling says we need to get into this environment, listen to the 2 modules, one, 2, 3 modules, go and do the little challenge. And so it makes sure that you can traverse the environment and understand what needs to happen. So they'll give you a scenario. This is a general scenario about what you're getting ready to do. All of these are based upon building a progressive application. You'll do a section, the next section, the next section, the next section, much like I was talking about in the presentation that you listen to. You have to do that interview process first. Well, they've bypassed all that. They've already done the interview process. They're actually working into, if you know about Pega Express delivery, they're working into the build phase now. This is the build phase where they're actually building something out. They're past the planning phase and first 2 phases, they're into the 3rd one. But it gives you a general scenario. And it starts talking about some of the terms of stages, process, steps that we have here. It also tells you, this one has a user story. So you should be familiar with what a user story is. If not, I'll lecture over that later on this evening. Make sure that you understand what user stories are, but they talked about that in the other lectures that you should have listened to. This one has some technical notes for you. In order for you to log into the environment, it the username author at GoGo Road. Password is Pega123. So click this button as I'm talking. You want to click this button, much like the other environment that we're utilizing, the community environment. It takes 3 to 5 minutes for it to launch. So make sure that you go ahead and click that. So as I'm talking, it will eventually come up so that you can follow me with some of the demonstrations. But like I said before, this is definitely one that you will do, but I want to make sure that you understand the environment. Now, you are acting as if you are a business architect. So put your business architect hat on, not quite a system technical developer yet. So your mindset is, how do I design this process? That design is based upon that case life cycle. So you've never done Pega before. So if you didn't have Pega, I would say, build me a flow chart, right? That's more of a design phase. Build me a flow chart. What do I do first? What do I do second? What do I do third? What do I do fourth? I need to see the flow. So that's exactly what we do in Pega. In that build phase, we're looking at the design aspect as a business architect. How do I design this out? So that's what we're going to do. We're not going to leverage creating or customizing or configuring a rule to really pull back data. That's not what we're about right now. It's all about, how do we design it? What do we see first? What do we see second? What do we process third? You'll see over, it gives you all the activities that you'll 1 through 8. So you got 8 major activities. They break down those activities for you. If you get stuck because you don't really have support here, if you get stuck, then there's a video. Watch the video and they actually show you how to make that work. So if you get stuck on something, I encourage you, follow the instructions first. Try to figure it out. And then if you can't figure it out, then go back up to the video and watch it. The video, I believe, yeah, there's no audio. So they did that because they didn't want to put it in one particular language. So there's no audio, so they're just point and clicking. It's showing you how to do all of these things. But just the detail, follow the details. As you get better at this, you'll be able to read the scenario and not even worry about the detailed task. While you're learning Pega, then walk through each one of the detailed tasks. Do exactly what it tells you to do. Now, once you do that, look around, evaluate some things, but don't point and click and add other items or other actions because it's expecting you to design it a certain way. Again, this is to teach you about the environment. It is not necessarily always the best practice or the best way to do it, but they're trying to help you discover a portion of Pega. So this is, and in the username, you want to put in author at GoGo Road, and you want to put in the password. And then once you do that, then your environment will come up. Okay. Now, when the environment comes up, let me go back. Your environment will come up and you'll see a case type. Now, they have already pre-built the case type for you. A case type, if you remember, now is implemented as a class. It is that business process that you are trying to achieve. A case is started with work to be done. It goes from being new to resolved. So typically its statuses are, it's new, it's open, and then it is resolved. Those are some of the general statuses that you will get. Sometimes there's other work to be done where it's paused and we can set that status, but those are the general statuses that you'll start looking at. Pending. Pending would be one of the other ones when there's other work to be done. So this is the case life cycle. This is what it looks like. So the instructions, and I'll bounce between some of the instructions, but I want to explain more about the environment. The instructions say, okay, now that you've done that, you found the assistant. Number 3 says, go to this and click the view steps in the menu and make sure that you check the box. So it should look just like this. Pretty clear instructions, pretty easy for you to follow up at the top. Now, I know where some of the places are. This will be new to you, and it's not always clear where the image is. So you may have to look around for it, but that's fine. I know that it's right above here, case life cycle. I click that. They're already checked. So now it's fine. Okay. And so it tells you to go ahead and clear the persona checkbox, clear the data, and then you'll see that they go away. So here's your persona, here's your data. If I went and followed what they told me to do, now you see that they're no longer there. Okay. But I don't want to do that. As I'm describing some of this, I want it to stay there. All right, so now it's talking about stages in Pega. So here's this first stage, this create stage. You cannot delete it. It's part of the application flow. So you definitely have to have that there. It's much like a constructor. You guys know what a constructor is? Give me a thumbs up. If you can do object-oriented programming, you know what a constructor is, right? It's the initializer. Anyone know what a constructor is in Java or C++, C#? It's that initializing portion of the code that has to be there. So when I'm creating a case lifecycle, I need this create stage. A stage is this first set of activities, this first set of processing that I'm wanting to do. And what you'll see is for each stage, as you're working in the work area, this is considered the work area, case life cycle, that something shows up over to the right. I can set certain things for this particular stage. So that's our context pane, that opens up over to the right. And so I won't go through all the instructions, but the instructions then will tell you how to go through and create multiple stages here, and how to build them, and how to add steps and processes. And I'm going to show you how to do some of that going forward. All right, so let me go back to the studio. Let me know if you guys are able to get your environment up and running. Anybody in the Pega Academy Challenge? I'm going to pause for a second to make sure that you guys are in it so you can follow me just a bit. We don't have to save our work that we're doing, so we won't mess up anything. So give me a thumbs up or give me a smiley face if you are able to get in Pega Academy and you're in this challenge. Okay, thank you. All right, I see some people that are in it. If I want to create another stage, so typically we'll just leave this one alone, and in most of the exercises, they won't tell you to do anything here. But if I want to create another stage, notice all I have to do is click. So I click, notice what happens. I can add a process to this stage. I can associate a persona with this stage. I can associate data, the data interface, with this stage. All part of the case lifecycle. This would be considered the second stage in the case lifecycle. The first stage being the create phase. The design also indicates, based upon this chevron, notice the chevron, more like the greater than sign, or it says continue on, that when I execute this stage, it will execute the process. The process has steps that will carry out the action. Yeah, let me say it again. This stage will call a process, and the process will have steps that will execute the instructions. So actual instructions are being carried out here. You may think of these more if you are understanding programming. These are methods calling another method. This method is calling this method. This method now is calling this particular function or library function to execute. And this represents a UI. We call it in Pega, in this business terminology, collect information. It's a UI. It's a human step. We call it a human step. It's a pause in the flow. We're waiting for a human to do something. So anytime you want to have a UI represent some action in your case lifecycle, then go to the collect information. That's what you would do from the design phase. So let's go through. I want to put in service. That's the name of my next stage. It's called service. So I'm in the service stage. Notice something. In the service stage, it opens up again the context pane. Notice what it says. This service, I have an option to say automatically move to the next stage, wait for a user action, that's the default, or I can say this is a place where I'm waiting further. Well, you'll see an example of that later on, but that's not what we're going to do. Here, remember I talked about those stages: new, open, pending, resolve. New, open, pending, resolve. Those are the statuses that a case can have. If it's new, right? Let's say that you just wanted to apply for an insurance claim. You go and you sit with the representative and they add it into the system as new. Now they're wanting more information. They call the adjuster calls you. Well, now it's open. Someone's working on it. Now they're waiting for information back from the mechanic. It's a claim on your car. So now it's pending. And then finally they come back, they fix your car, they pay for it. Now it's resolved. So you'll see these are different cases that you can have, and some of those are already built in for you. So what do we have? We have new, open, pending, but notice that in pending, it's prefixed with, but then I have these other varied types of pending: pending approval, pending external, pending fulfillment, pending investigation. And then I have resolved, resolved cancel. Maybe I want to cancel it. It's resolved completed. It's resolved with a duplicate. It's resolved rejected. So I have that. But learn those four statuses: new, open, pending, resolved. So as long as I have a prefix of new, open, pending, resolved, then I can have my own custom suffixes. In the out of the box OOTB statuses, or we have a lot for pending and a lot for resolved. So make sure you understand that concept. In Pega, we want you to set from a business perspective what the status will be. Right? So we'll say that this one is new. Now, the other thing I can do is I can put what's called a service level agreement, SLA. I can put a service level agreement on this particular case. And basically that service level agreement says, how long do I want it to take for it to be resolved? So it's attached to the case, and it's saying for this particular stage, not for the whole case, but for this particular stage, I'm going to set a goal and I'm going to set a deadline. And that's all I'll say about a service level agreement. We'll come back and talk about it later on. But my goal may be that I need my team that every time this case comes to the claims department, someone gets it, they have I don't know, they have 1 day to complete it. That's my goal. But their deadline is 2 days. So they get up to 2 days before it's past deadline, but you want it to be done within 1 day. That's the essence of what this service level agreement is for. So just know that I can put a service level agreement on the entire case. I can put it on a particular stage or process or step that I am associated with. We'll talk about SLAs later on, but I want to introduce you to everything that you can do here. So I've created a stage. When do I want a stage? Well, there are some general rules that we have. If it's a change in ownership, as I said, if it goes from the person, the service representative that entered it, and versus it goes now to the claims department for someone to say like a claims adjuster, well, that's kind of a change in ownership, right? A stage is not, or a case is not started and ended or owned by one person. Different people. So if it's moving from one to the other, change in ownership. If I'm designing, then that's probably a design point for me to say, hey, I need another stage. It moves this stage to that stage. Right. Another common way that we look at it is a grouping of information. If this logically goes together, this service stays to where we're servicing the claim, it makes sense that all of the activities should occur here. Well, that's what we want to do too. So it just makes sense. All of this is logically grouped together. Another way to look at that is if it changes the status, a change in status. If I go from new to open, or from open to pending, or from pending to resolve, I probably want to have a different stage. So those are general rules for design. General rules for design. When do I need a stage? Number one, if it's a change in ownership. goes from one to the other. Number two, if it's a change in status, new to open, open to pending, pending resolve. Number three, if it just logically goes together. Again, those are design points. Not right, not wrong, but those are criteria that you need to consider when you're going to create a stage. All right, so now that I create a stage, I've set my status. Well, let's just do this instead of new. Let's set it to open. Now I can create a process. But before I go and create this process, I want to show you what a process looks like. A process in Pega is a flow chart. It looks like a flow chart. We call it a flow rule, F-L-O-W, rule. It's a flow rule. So when I'm creating a process, I'm going to click here. You're going to see that this step, it translates it into a different environment, into a different view for me. Now you see shapes. These are our Pega shapes for a flow rule. Pega shapes for a flow rule. Right now you see three shapes. Uno, dos, tres. All right. But actually, arrows, some of the arrows are considered shapes also. So if you're taking the certification, just be aware that this arrow would be considered a shape. This is actually what we call a flow action rule. Flow action rule. So notice something. These shapes are driven by rules in Pega. Let me say that again. These shapes are driven by one or more rules in Pega. This particular shape is a flow action rule. This shape will have multiple rules because it's a UI. So when we build a UI, we have to have a portal, a harness, a section, a layout. We have multiple rules. So a shape can represent one or more rules in Pega. And remember the rules that I talked about? It's in the Records Explorer. It's those 200 rules, those predefined library that we have. Now, this is a start shape. This is an end shape. Okay. Let's see. If you wanted to see the other shapes that we have in Pega, we have a decision shape. We have a sub-process shape. Think of a sub-process as I am in a method and I'm calling a method to carry out execution. So that's a sub-process. So in our case, it's a flow calling another flow rule. A flow rule calling another flow rule. And remember, flow rules, this is a flow rule, they have shapes within them. It is the only rule in Pega that has shapes. Start again. I have what's called some automation shapes. Automation shapes are pre-configured for the most part. All we have to do is pass in some additional information. For instance, I want to attach a file. I can move to different stages. I can create a brand new stage. I can create a PDF. I can generate any type of document. I'll skip some of these. I can send an email out. I have an approval process that I can go through. I can look for duplicates. All of those are already built into Pega. So that gives you some understanding of what you can design as a business architect within Pega. All right, so let's go back. Now, notice when I go back, my view will change. So this is one step inside of this flow rule. But when we go back to the other view, it's going to be a process. So a process is a flow rule. A flow rule is a process. A shape in the flow rule is a step. And a step is a shape. So let's go back and you'll see how the shape now becomes a step. When I get back to my case life cycle, there we go. So let's go ahead and create one ourselves. So now you'll understand. So I'll do service. I can spell it. There we go. Now again, it creates general and going deadline, but I have 3 buttons here for a state. When I click, yeah, there we go. So it's saying, do I want to add a process? Yeah, that's what I can do. I can click on that process. I can add a new process. I can add a form. I can add approval rejection. So I have several options that are already here for me. Right? I can set an alternate stage. We hadn't even talked about alternate stages yet. But if you're familiar with business design, there's something called a happy path. I do this first, this second, this third. If it's not in the happy path, then it's an alternate path. It's an exception. So the happy path may be, I have a wreck in my car. I go to my insurance. The service agent will enter my claim. My claim will go to the adjuster. The adjuster will get back with me, and I talk to my mechanic. My mechanic then will tell me how much it costs. I go back to the adjuster, they fix it, and then they end up paying. That's the happy path. But what if it's outside the happy path? What if, for instance, I take my car to get adjusted, the company gets it, but then someone steals my car? Now what does my insurance company do, right? So that's not part of the happy path when it comes to a particular claim when you have an accident. That's outside of the happy path. So that's what an alternate stage is. Pega allows you to create an alternate stage so that if it's not part of the happy path, you can then go there. And you have the personas and the others. But we'll create a process. And sometimes the system is slow, so I do apologize for that. But if it lets me now, if for instance it gets stuck like this, you typically have to do a refresh. If the system, if you do a refresh and you don't save, then you're gonna lose all of your. So if you're doing real work, and then you do your refresh. To your case type. I want to make sure you understand how to navigate the environment, what some of the major components are, major features. All right, so we were trying to create a stage. I get it to work this time. Oh, it's so slow. That's service. Now I want to go to create a process. Step. So notice something. A process has to have at least one step. So I tried to go in and just create the process itself, but it says, no, you can't do that. You have to create a step. So what do I want to do? I want to do a collect information step. I want to do a approval reject step. I can do more. Remember when I got to that view and I showed you the shapes? Well, here in this view of my case lifecycle, I can get to those same automations. So now I can click on automation and you'll see that I can attach content. You see that create case, create PDF, generate documents, all of that's there. So those features or those capabilities appear here on the case lifecycle on the designer, or when I get into the flow, they are seen as shapes. And in those shapes, I can then select them. So those are automations. I have user actions. User actions have something to do with the UI, right? That human doing something. So if you need to cancel a request, some UI pops up, some way that you need that to happen, you have those capabilities. So you have UI actions that are there, and you have processes. So you may just need something to run in the background, right? You may need to go and create a whole different process or invoice the customer. So you have those types of processes that are there for you. Okay. So in our case, I believe do is let's do something simple. Let's do a collect information. That means I'm wanting to create a UI. And student information. I'll just call it student info. Okay. So I step student info. It is attached to a process called service. So now I can come up and I can change this. Let's call it service process 1. I should be more descriptive, but I want you to see that by default, the page name will become the process name also, but you want to go and change the process name. You don't want those to be the same. But here I got student info. Now notice that for student info, this is a step. Remember, this is a process, this is a step. This step over, you'll see that I have information that, well, is this for the current user? Remember, a case will move from one to multiple people. So this is asking, well, do you want it to stay with the current person? Do you want this one to move to a specific user? Do you want to put it in a work queue? So let's say you have this department, and this department says, hey, here's a queue that if work comes in, you need to pull from it. Or is there some business logic that will consider where it needs to go to next? So you have all of these options for this particular UI, and we'll say, well, I want it to go to a specific user, and it opens up, well, who do you want me to send it to? Right? Your manager, someone who's participating in this process, someone that's referenced in a given field. It gives you all of that option. All right. But I'll keep it simple. I'll put it back to the current user. Okay. Now it says If you want a UI, well, hey, let's go build it. But before we build it, do we want to set the status? Probably. Let's say we're open. And any type of instructions, yes, this is for adding student information. So how does that work? When it actually runs and executes, you'll see at the bottom, this text of information just gives them a brief of what they need to do. Now, if I want to go and create a view, I go and configure the view. Now, this gives you the capability of adding your UI components. I want to add a text field, radio button, drop down. Give you all those capabilities, all of those capabilities. I can add conditions. I can do work before the UI is displayed. I can do work after the UI is displayed. Remember when I showed you that green shape that had the arrow, had create, and then had the end shape? I call that the flow action rule. That's what pre-processing does. Allows me to do before or after. All right. This is a template. So it gives me a default template so that I can lay out things. This says that this is a 2-column template. I can change. You'll see later on, we have multiple templates. We can have 3-column templates. We can have 1-column template. Gives you an example of what something will look like. And I can come here and say, well, I just want to add, and I want to add a name. Let's see. No names. Well, let's come back. I want to add a field. And it tells me, hey, you have existing fields that are already out there. All right. Or I can come back and say, well, no, let's just create a field group. And then I can go in and I can start adding fields. So you'll get instructions on how to create a field, how to create a grouping of fields, how all of that works. And you can set it to visible. If it's a numeric field, give it some instructions if you want it to be a collapsible type of grouping of fields that's here. You'll see that Pega has a rich set of components that we can do. But we won't go into that. I'll let you learn, see how to do that when it gives you the instructions to go and build those things out. And you can add certain conditions. Well, I want this particular UI to be seen when a condition exists. For instance, you may be in a form and it says, you have a radio button that says, enter your information. And if you have a spouse, click that. Now you want this to be visible. So you have a condition to where you can then make it visible. We also have a way where you can validate. Well, you enter in an age and you have to make sure that you're over 18 or 21. Now we have a way for validation to occur also. So anything that you can do in your regular programming, then just know that that can also be done in your Pega programming. So that allowed me to go in and configure. I could come and say, well, I want my next step to be a approval or rejection step. Now that typically shows up in blue. You'll see that the icon shows up in blue. Right. And now this is need approval. So notice that your content plane changes based upon your step type. For my approval, it's different than for my user interface. Here now it's saying, well, do I need to route it to a particular person for approval? A work queue, business logic? All right. If so, if it's a user, well, who is that person? Is it a manager? Here we go. Just send it to this particular person. Here's my flow. If approved, I want to continue. Do I want to change the status of it? If it's rejected, I want to set it to resolved rejected. And how long do you want me to have to make this happen? Those are design points in Pega. Right? So that's an example of an approval. Well, let's say, well, the third step I'm wanting to do is let's send an email. That's in one of my automations. Go down to the bottom, send email. So now we have send email. So let's see what it looks like over to the right. It's context sensitive. Here we go. So now when I get ready to send an email, now it tells me, well, what's the email address? Do I pull it from a field or do I enter it in here? So I'd enter in an email address. What is the subject? You see the asterisk that indicates that's a required field. So I have to enter in information here. And do you want me to include an attachment? And hey, do you want me to compose it? So here I need to put in student requested information. Now it allows me to open it up and I can compose a email, and it's a rich text editor. So it gives me the capability to bold, underline, put things in color. Okay, so what did we learn? Here, I've created my own stage. I have one process. I have, in that process, I have 3 steps. One that's a UI for collect information. One for approval, it's an approval process that we need. And one to send an email. Right. So if I went over and looked at these 3 steps for this one process, you'll see that it's going to open up my flow rule and show me those 3 shapes for those 3 steps with the begin and end shape. Begin shape, end shape. Here's my 3 shapes, which represent my 3 steps. Okay. Now, of course, I can go in and show you the needs approval. That's a sub process. So that's like a method calling a method. So inside of its sub process, you see it has a lot of logic that it's carrying out for you. I went too far. Oh no, I didn't save it. Don't go away. Okay, so let's get back in it. Thought I went one step too far. All right, so here we are back in here, and you'll see that When I set a status, a little flag shows up there. I love this environment. This design environment allows you to see so many different things. So this is telling me that my status is being set as I come into this particular UI. There's a service level agreement on it. That's what that's telling me. Over here, I'm going through my needs approval, my send email, and then that's my end shape. Okay. All right, all right, all right. So that's all I want to cover. That should be sufficient to get you started, allow you to understand some of the components and features here. But let's go ahead and create one more stage and no more actions. No more actions. I don't want to do anything else. This is the last stage. End it all. I'll just call it end it all for fun. And I want to make that a resolution. We call this a resolution stage. This is the very last thing. I don't want anything else to happen. Right? So in this particular stage, it's a resolution stage. And I could put whatever I wanted to there, but let me save it. I'm thinking once I save it, you then can see that there is a visual difference with the resolution stage. Notice the resolution stage doesn't have the greater than chevron. It ends right here. Right? The create, the one, part of the happy path is finishes here, goes here, finishes here, goes here. Right? So we do a save it, save it. Right. Let me do a refresh. Okay, there it is. So I want you to see it creates a little red line there. So when you see it's a resolve this case, a resolution stage, then you'll see the red line. All right, let me think. Is there anything? Now, I could save and run. I actually have the capability to save and run. You're not going to see much, but you'll at least see the stages that are there. And then once you start building out the stages and create a UI, then the UI will show up for you. You'll have data that you can then utilize and see. I can run it. As I run it, I can see it on a tablet, or I can see it as a mobile device. So you see that Pega runs its code in any one of those. It's already supporting mobility from inception. As I said before, here we see this general information, not much we can do, but you do see these are the stages from create to service to end. I can hit the submit. It'll just take me to the next stage. So it'll walk me through the stages there. Here's that student info UI that I was supposed to create, or that I would go back and create. But that would be the responsibility of probably a combined effort with the SA and the business architect to say, hey, we want it to look this way. And then I can advance this case. So this is more through the flow, just to make sure that you have your flow correct. I want to get an approval. Yes. I want to approve it. And then it should go to the end all. And that would be the end of it. So that's our approval step. Some type of email was sent out. And then we get to the end all. So at least it gives you that conceptual design of this is how I traverse through the flow. Okay, so that I wanted to show you. Let me do a refresh. Let's go back to case type. Yeah. Exit. Preview. And that should get you started. Let me check in and see if Ufuk is still here. If Ufuk is here, he'll give you an opportunity to start going through and demonstrating the. There you are. Okay, Ufuk.
Hello. Yes. Give me some
Okay.
minutes. Let me share my screen. So,
Make sure you can get access to. Okay. So now you should have capabilities to access it.
okay, I'm not sure if I'm already sharing my screen.
I can see it. Yes.
Okay, perfect. I just want to show shortly how we can go with the community edition. So everyone should have been an account with my Pega, and under my Pega you can find software and then my trials. The Actually, I already have activated my trails, but if not, you will have on the top, on the right side hand, a button where it shall try it. And then if you click try it, you need to just submit, and then you should get this page. Daryl, I'm not sure if you also already activate the community edition. If not, maybe you can show how it's looking, the initial screen, because now I cannot show it.
Yeah,
But we can do it also later.
we've actually already initialized it, so I think everyone was able to get in.
Oh, okay, good, perfect. Thanks for that. Yeah. So when we go into it, we already in the application. So when you can see it here on the right side, you can see your profile and you can log on and switch portals. At the moment, we have only the Dev Studio because we didn't create anything. At least I didn't create anything. I don't know if you already did some exercises. Anyway, there are now two options. This is newly in Pega Infinity. One is built from a blueprint and built manually. This built from a blueprint is since 2 years now, more or less, 2 or 3 years. You have this opportunity. Blueprint, I guess, Daryl showed already a little bit. What is it? It's not used often because it's a new technology, new way to build it, and it's more for prototyping. So if you have some idea and you want to introduce new applications and you want to try something out, you can use a blueprint, and blueprint will create you the cases, and after you can export and import it into your application. So but that not means the application is ready to go. It will be an empty application with a frame, let's say like that. There will be a frame and you need to build it still and make it completely with all the integrations, etc. For our purpose now, we want to see what we can do it. So we have built manually. So this was the old school way, or still we are doing like this, built from scratch. Or if there's any existing applications like frameworks we are built it and we want to reuse it, then we can also click on build on from existing application. So I will show you now build from scratch. Taking a little bit. And this application, this platform is on a cloud-based instance. So whenever we are doing some configurations and we are jumping out, that not means that your configurations will run, that will be in the cloud for 30 days. After 30 days, it will be deleted. And now I'm running this community edition 3 or 4 times. So it's not meaning that you have just once 30 days and you cannot try it out. You can, at least for me, as much as possible as you want. And it's a good thing because you don't need to, it's a little bit to get the software on premise. It's costly and all not private members will not get it. So this is the best way to have the application and test around and see what can happen. What we're seeing is now the first page is name your application. This all the names and class hierarchy, class structure. This is the first thing what a lead system architect needs to do. Think about everything, design it, and after designing you can create it. Because once you create it, you can still rename the classes, but it's a lot full of work. And if you're renaming, it's creating database tables in the background automatically. Then the database tables will be named differently. Then it will be named like the first naming. So that's very important to have it first. You need to know what you want to create, which classes you want to create, how you will be enterprise class structure. This is the first thing. And that's very important because afterwards to change it could be challenging. I'm not sure this is everything newly, so I don't want to go deeply. What is a framework? What is an implementation? I guess this will be explained more in the class, and then you will know what we are talking about. Shortly, frameworks. What we can say is framework is that Pega has own applications in the market. Like for insurance, they have a lot of applications, Pega application. In the finance, like for MasterCard, Visa card, that means Pega already built cases and case cycles and processes, and you can buy these products and reuse it and do some modification, configuration, and build on it. And if you build on it, you can do some implementations. This means customizing. So customizing means, because every institution or company has their own data. And this is the data layer. It's always customized. It means the customer data. And then they have their own integration systems. The Pega is giving the framework, but you need to then do the customization, and with the customization you can use the implementation. Also, you can build your own framework for your own company. So that means if you have a company and you know this application can be used in all units and divisions, for example, as you can see here, division units, then you can build a framework, and then you can put it separately and then build on your applications for the particular units or divisions. That's why it's important to think about the class hierarchy, enterprise class structure, and you need to count everything, like who will use it, and what data should be in the organization, what data should be in division, what is in unit, because it not makes sense to bring everything in organization, and this is not the idea of the Pega. Once we have the application name, then we give the organization names. It depends on the naming. It's Amazon, and we need calling it Amazon. If it's a UBS bank, we are UBS bank, credit unit, a credit unit. Santander, and like this. So you're giving the organization name, and if it's a division name and a unit name. So let's see. Test. Test. So this is we can do also in a division layer or unit layer to be created, and you can rename it. As I told, this needs to be defined by yourself, and in that case, but normally it's doing a lead system. I'm thinking about it, transforming the business in this class hierarchy and enterprise class structure. I create now an implementation. We can also do a framework here. It doesn't matter. And you can select the language. You can use also Spanish, as you wish. On save. It's still is not created. If you click on create application, now it's creating the application in the background. And if you're using Blueprint, and Blueprint will do all the class enterprise structure, class hierarchy automatically, and you can do one. For example, give it a blueprint, export it and import it, and then you will see how it's created, and then you can use the similar logic to create it manually as well. This is also not a problem, just for exercise purposes. You can add users, not needed to do now. You can do it also later. You have here a user. It's your admin, and if you want, you can add multiple users here also. But at the end of, if you create it, you can also add it afterwards. So that's not so important. And now when you log off, this is so.
Hey, Ufuk, I got mine to work with the SSO. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a new
So
feature that
first
they
you need to
added, so
work
that's
with
pretty
SSO,
cool.
and then it's taking live. Because normally the first with your SSO, and then you can later also log in with your credentials. But the problem is you don't know what credential is given. This we will figure out it later. You see now the App Studio, which is Pega pushing now the developers, low-code developers, using more app studios to develop their processes. In real life, we are not working with App Studio. We are using Dev Studio, and Reason is that most applications are not built on App Studio initially not built on the App Studio. That's why we are using Dev Studio. The reason is also that in Dev Studio you have more opportunities to do the changes and adapt more quickly than with the App Studio. You can use the App Studio when you don't need a lot of modifications. That's still okay. But with the big companies and everything is still, we are using Dev Studio. So I will show you Dev Studio mostly. But you will see maybe most of the exercises you will be in the App Studio platform. But if you need them really adapt or change things fastly, quickly, you need to go to the Dev Studio. So which studios we have? We have an App Studio, we have a Dev Studio, we have a Prediction Studio. And then afterwards, we will have also work portal, like the portal where the managers work it really and create their cases. It's really empty because we didn't configure anything, no case types, no cases. This is just everything is out of the box for which Pega is delivering. We have here a lot of reports. Everything will be empty because we have nothing to report. And you see the dashboard. And everything here, what you see can customize, even the colors, the buttons. We are not customizing it, but the colors, the logos, and of course the companies want their own logo, and we are customizing it in the UI. This will also show in step how it's working. This is Dev Studio. This looks a lot of information on the first time. Mostly we are on this side. It's categorized like case types. If you have a case type, you will see here. You can add also a case type. In Pega, there are multiple ways to add or modify or customize things. Just quickly overview. So this is self-explained. So if you click on it, if you click on the rows, you can add types, show as well, the same logic here. So there's not only one way here. So you see you have the classes defined, and you can also create here from there. Click on row. You can also click directly here on configure, and then the disadvantage when you go to the configure, then this is a general setting. The differentiation is that if you don't know which data model if you want to create, then you need to select the class and everything, so it's easier to do here. But with the exercises, you will see more options. We have a records. Records is it's showing all the rules which is available in the platform. What means if you're going here like a data model, the data pages, everything what has to do with data transforms, properties, you will see it. It's very important. Decision is when we have decision rules, like decision tree, decision table, when rules, and then we have process rules. So every rule which is used and with the system and which you created will shown here. So case types. So we didn't create any case types, but Pega has out of the box some case types. If you see, can you see it? There's all even those case types are there. So that's not this all rules are not meaning will show only the rules which you created. And how do you know which we created or not? You can see the rule set versions. It's everything which is with Pega, that means Pega created. And so now we will ask and how we know our rules. Our rules will be created in our rule set version and our rule set version. And now it's loading. Case types. This is out of the box. Our rule set version, how it's called, we figure out. Yeah. In our app definition, we will see our rule sets and we see how it's our rule set version called. So our rule sets, now we have only two rule sets, which is created at the beginning with the application creation. It's the happy land and test. That means every customization which we are doing and which should be, if you have no framework, so everything will be customized, or if you have framework, then on top it will be built and will be stored in the rule set version. So we can then deploy this then separately. And as you see, our application built on constellation 0.1.0.1. This is from Pega, how we can know it. Let's open this version. And then you see built on application Pega rules. So if you open Pega rules, then you see all the Pega rule sets. Yes, this is for the Pega. All the things we will explain it so more daily. So no worries when you see and because for the first it's already too much information here. But this is your rule which you will work. This is the tool which you work mostly. This is the helper rules for the developers. One thing you need to know that Pega is built on Pega. That means everything what you see, you open a rule, you're clicking on something. That Pega is also using their own rules. So when you want to know how this UI is built on, you can click on Live UI, and then you see the rules, let's say like this, the UI rules especially, which is used. And if you want to see, okay, how it's this showing, this section included, we non-auto generated, we can click on it. And then we will get the informations, how it's done. It's using this section, for example, and then you can look to it. Let's try to open it. Here, if you see, there's a target icon. You can directly click on it, and then it will be open. This rule which is showing, and then you can do some analyzing and getting the idea how Pega built it, and maybe if you need to build a similar thing, you have then one idea how they build it. And in the background there are a lot of rules which is called when you click on it. This everything you can trace with the tracer. When you click on the tracer, it's also for troubleshooting if there are any errors, defects, and you need to know what's not working correctly. Pega has a lot of ways to analyze. One is the tracer, and one is the tracer. Then we have log files. We have the opportunities to find out what's not working fine. So we have the tracer. The clipboard is everything in a case is stored in a clipboard, in a blob, a database. So if you're recalling a case, and it will be go to the database, and then we'll took all the informations from a blob. Sometimes it's also exposed, not everything in a blob, but everything which is from the database, which we're calling or not, it will be stored on the clipboard, and sometimes also temporary information's there. And then we can look into it and see why it's not modified or like this. Yeah, as I told, this is a lot of informations from now. Performances to see, as the name is saying, how it's Pega performing. If the user saying it's so slowly and everything, we can look to the performance screen and then see if there's any alerts and then any anything subjects which is could be a problem. It will be show, and we can play around. We can do a database tracing. We can add alerts and so on. Yeah, so I told we have different ways to create rules, to see the configure rules. We have a lot of wizards tools which we can use it, which is very helpful. And deployments. You see the activities of the developers. If you deleted something and you want to restore it, we can do it. And we have a full control. We can refactor. We can rename the classes, etc. It's possible, but with a lot of work. And then everything we can do the configuration here. And if you want to create new thing, as you see, you can click on create, and then you can select what you want to create. The difference between here, selecting here and selecting, for example, under the classes is that if you create it here, then it will create directly under this class. If you go here, you need to give the classes where to need to create. I guess for now it's good. Or Daryl, you want to add something?
No, that sounds good. I just wanted to make sure they got a good technical overview from you guys.
Mm-hmm.
As Ufuk indicated, a lot of the conversation is technical, but we will get there. We're
Yes.
going through the business architect, but we'll get to the dev studio. I think it's important for you to see this, to know that Pega is a very robust environment. Again, I had mentioned it's for doing enterprise solution development. It's not for small projects. It's for large projects, and it has all the features to make that happen. So Ufuk, thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Were you getting ready to say something else?
Yeah, that's true. Just want to add that a lot of companies, even big companies, not using the full power of Pega, because nowadays, if you buy Pega, you buy everything mostly from the license, and Pega has the robotics, the AI functionality, and decisioning, and kind of a lot of things which is included, but they're not using everything. So. It's very powerful, and it's too expensive for small companies, let's say like this.
Yeah. Wonderful. So that's all we have for today. thank you guys for attending this morning. Thank you for listening. We
Thank you.
spent time talking about the two different environments, how to get into those environments. We'll use both of those going forward. Let me go ahead and take the screen back over, Ufuk.
Yeah.
We can do that. Okay. Yeah, I think I have the screen back. So hopefully that'll give you some understanding about the two environments that we're working out of. You'll spend time at the end of this class going into Pega Academy, working on the modules, reading through those modules, doing the challenge, following that. So make sure you get those done. These activities should be completed by the end of the day. I'll see you back at the end of the day, see where you are going forward. So again, thank you for your time and attention. Look forward to seeing you this evening. The two people who did not finish their essay, please go back and finish those. As you can see, you have 2 essays to do today. This is Monday. I looked forward, and I think Wednesday you have 4 essays to do. So it picks up fast. Want to make sure that you stay on track. I should have the other papers graded for you, the essays graded for you before the end of the day or before we meet for the next class. So just make sure you go back out there and check for that. Have a great day. Enjoy your morning, and I'll see you later on today. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.